Well, the emergency supply of 30 shirts I carry with me at all times has been depleted. This is Human Subject 957, signing off. Just kidding. It's day 31 at the fake museum. What am I still doing here? You know, you want to kidnap somebody and put them in your fake museum? Fine. I get that. I've considered it even. But at least give them some food that isn't candy corn. Also, I have a question. Or what? You say I've got a month to figure out which exhibit the exit's hidden in. What happens if I don't? Do I turn into a pumpkin? Do I have to slay a beast? Do I forfeit my deposit? I'm starting to believe that there is no exit, that I've been tricked by a faceless, unchecked authority to just do this little dance in perpetuity. And you would have gotten away with it too if you hadn't made one crucial mistake. Candy corn. They look like diseased molars. I swear, in some states they use it as gravel for jerks. You know, like when you need to lay some gravel for a jerk. So in an act of defiance that will hopefully inspire young people for generations, today's installment is not on any exhibit here in the museum, and yet is the biggest exhibit here in the museum. Today I'm gonna get meta on you, museum. Today I'm gonna talk about my own exhibit, one that is very personal to me, despite having nothing to do with my hatred of candy corn. That exhibit is prisons. As I'm sure you already know, I'm certainly painfully aware. Prisons are where you're sent if you do something that society deems harmful. Sometimes you get sent to prison even when you didn't do anything wrong, but when that happens, the silver lining is that Morgan Freeman might narrate your story. Of course, it wasn't always like this. Once upon a time, long before Morgan Freeman was even on the electric company, imprisonment wasn't actually a punishment. It was just something that happened to you while you were waiting to be whipped or shot or sold into slavery for whatever terrible offense you committed, which at the time was probably taking the Lord's name in vain or stealing a horse. At that time, the closest thing to incarceration, at least that wasn't just a dungeon, was probably a penal colony, which is really funny sounding if you're 10. Penal colonies were typically islands or other remote locations of exile, but among the various colonial empires to employ penal colonies, the British were the best. They favored an island commonly referred to as North America. Sometime after 1776, that just wasn't working out for them anymore, so they chose a new island, where prisoners proliferated like cane toads. Today, those prisoners are called Australians. Depending on who you ask, the modern prison either began in 19th century London or 18th century Pennsylvania. Back then, they were basically just big, scary buildings filled with solitary confinement cells. After a few years and numerous reforms, they went on to become the cigarette-based economies we know and love today. And eventually, penal colonies fell out of vogue, mostly due to a 1997 incident in which the Duke of New York kidnapped the president and they had to send Kurt Russell in to find him. Nowadays, correctional facilities in the US come in 5 main flavors of security. The first is minimum security. You know how sometimes you have to go to your parents' house for holidays or whatever and you really don't want to because their TV isn't high def and you can't really swear that much, but at least there's free food? That's minimum security prison. The next one up is medium security. This is the kind you see on gritty TV prison dramas like Arrested Development and My Name is Earl. You can move around during the day, shanking people in the yard and whatnot, but then at night you're locked up in your cell, and the only way to escape is to spend 20 years plausibly digging a secret tunnel behind a poster of a lady. Following that is close security, and then maximum security, where they really keep an eye on you. In maximum security, you don't really get out that much at all. So when somebody says, "Hey, remember that scene from Inception?" you're like, no. It's just social dysfunction and awkward for everyone. Then there's Supermax. Much like the 18th century Pennsylvania prison, it's just a series of dark closets with beds, each reserved for the worst offenders like Osama bin Laden or the Green Goblin, or Osama bin Goblin. And if you're just too evil for any of that, you end up on death row. Actually, death row is just something you'd see in any prison, and often it's not even an actual section of the prison. You're just another inmate, except you have an expiration date. Chances are by then you've traded in your evil for something more philosophical, not that it'll do you any good. It's like that guy in the 3 prisoners problem. So 3 prisoners named A, B, and C are on death row, and the governor has selected one of them at random for a pardon. Because random is how governors decide on pardons. Anyway, the warden knows who gets the pardon but isn't allowed to say, so in an attempt to find out his chances, prisoner A concocts a scheme. He says to the warden, "Hey W, if B over here gets the pardon, tell me it's C, and if C gets the pardon, tell me it's B. and if I get the pardon, flip a coin and tell me B or C. I know this doesn't make sense. No governor, warden, or prisoner would ever have these conversations. There's actually a really similar problem that we have seen in practice multiple times, if you'll indulge the tangent. And really, do you have somewhere else to be? It's called the Monty Hall paradox. So Monty Hall was the host of a show called Let's Make a Deal, and this is that show where you're presented with 3 doors, numbered 1, 2, and 3, and Monty Hall says, behind one of these doors is a brand new car, and behind the other 2 are goats. Presumably, though I don't know you that well, you don't want the goat. So you pick door number 1, and then Monty Hall says, okay, but before we open door number 1, we're gonna show you one of the goats. And then he opens door number 2, and there's a goat. And then Monty Hall says, you pick door number 1, and if you still want to keep it, that's cool, but also, I'll give you a chance right now to switch to door number 3 if you wanna. Now, if you do want a goat, now's the time to pick door number 2. I mean, it's open, there's a goat, you know it's there. But if you want the car, the question is, do you switch to door number 3? And the answer is yes. Simply put, when all 3 doors were closed, you had a 2 in 3 chance of picking a goat. So probably you picked a goat. And when the other goat was revealed to you, so was the probable location of that car behind the one door you were least likely to pick. And so, hold on a minute, hold on. I knew these doors.
Congratulations, 957. You've made it further than any human subject before you.
Huh. So there were 956 human subjects before me?
Sort of. Some of them were monkeys.
How did the monkeys do?
They figured it out very early.
Then what's the score? What are these doors?
Let's make a deal.
Are they part of an exhibit? And you said the exit was part of a.
They are part of the game show exhibit.
I didn't do any game show exhibit. Did I figure this out by accident?
So it would seem. It's a shame. The game show exhibit is really fun.
So what are we doing?
Behind one of these doors is your freedom. It will take you to the comfort of your own home.
And I suppose there are a couple of goats behind the other 2?
Behind the other 2 doors is a larger museum featuring exhibits for all the days of the month you didn't do.
Wait. You mean I opened the wrong door and I have to do more videos? Do you have any idea how hard that is? No way, man. Look at the makeshift setup I have. Look at my living room. I've got a tablecloth on my wall. No.
You better choose wisely then.
So, is there any significance to this? Or, I mean, were there hints I was supposed to be picking up along the way?
Yes.
Where?
In the game show exhibit.
Oh, it's fantastic. I could have been out of here the first day.
Choose your door.
Yeah, alright. What did we do the other day? Lonely plants and animals?
Pick a door.
Let's go with door number 1.
Very good. Now, human subject 957, before we open door number 1, let's show you what's behind door number 2.
Oh, God, no.
If you like, you may switch to door number 3.
Alright, door number 3.
Very well.
So, do I just open it, or?
Sure,
I just go.
No.
Yeah?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Hi, museum. Welcome to my submission video. I drove around for hours trying to find an entrance or even a sign, and the contest itself sounds a little dubious. Win the opportunity to be whisked away and confined inside a museum for up to 1 month, earning your freedom through copious vlogging. Is something that I've studied about as far as my attention span will allow. I'm sort of coasting through life with just enough knowledge to get me by, and I don't consider that a bad thing. In fact, this is perfect for short-form video, as evidenced by every single thing I've seen on YouTube. So, museum, if you even exist in the first place, I think I'd be your ideal candidate. At least, as far as I've thought it out, which is hardly at all. I look forward to hearing from you and hope to see you next Wednesday. I don't understand any of this.
I still don't know what's going on.